Hey, I'm Brian. I'm the host of the HVAC School podcast and the founder of the Blue Collar Roots Network, which is the network that this podcast, the Service Business Mastery podcast with Tersh, is a member of. And Tersh came to me just a little while ago and said that he wanted to do something bold, something that I have some experience doing, which is documenting a story of what he's going through in his business. So this isn't going to be a typical podcast. This really is an unvarnished look at a bold move that Tersh has decided to make in his life and in his business. I think you're going to enjoy the ride. I want to introduce to you my friend Brandon.
Baker is here?
Man, this AC is kicking. No. I forgot.
Brandon and I originally met up in Atlanta. We were taking a class that was a requirement so that we could take the state exam. As fate would have it, we sat right next to each other for the class, and we had no idea that we lived right down the road from each other, and we'd never met. We had both been in the industry for about 10 years at that time. You know, that random person you met at a class, and you swapped business cards, and you said you'd keep in touch, but you never called back. Well, our relationship is the exact opposite. We exchanged numbers, and then we kept in touch, and we've continued to stay in touch, and we've tracked each other's businesses as we've grown, as we've had our growing pains, and as we've done everything over the past 5 years. The thing that I really like about Brandon is that he is so focused on making sure that things are perfect and making sure things are done correctly. If I ask Brandon to do something, I know that it's going to get done correctly. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about Brandon.
I think that itself means a lot sometimes. Oh, how organized he is? Yeah. I mean, when a customer walks up, he wasn't worried about somebody stealing stuff out of it. What are you going to take off of that? Oh, I don't know. But junkies, they'll steal anything. Yeah, but I feel like in his situation, they're less likely to take something.
Back when I first started the Service Business Mastery podcast, my intentions were to simply tell everyone the things that I did to make my business grow the way that it had. But as I started talking to people, getting people's feedback, I realized that I originally really wanted my business to be bigger than what it is, and I wanted things to go in a little different direction than they have gone. So it's time for a change. It's time for something new. Brandon and I, we were up on the roof of this church that Brandon does a maintenance on every month. And we realized that we were short a few belts. So we hopped in the van and we took a quick trip over to the supply house.
They used to have a cargo truck. He used to have a black Expedition and pulled a black trailer. Yeah, this truck was nice. It was really nice. Like I said, it's not your typical just U-Haul box truck. It was. Right. So I want you to tell me about the history of Icebound. Icebound is my little demon child that has really abused me. Slapped you in the face, spit on you in public. It's been the most rewarding and discouraging thing ever. Well, I guess it all started when I was working for another company. And he wanted me to go back to a different position that I wasn't willing to go back to anymore.
What position?
He wanted me to be a service tech again. And at that point, I already told him I never want to do that again because of the people I had to work under. Oh, okay. They did a great job making your life completely miserable, and they did a great job dividing the team to make it every man for yourself instead of teamwork. So there's just a ton of backstabbing and a ton of just that every man for himself feel. Mm-hmm. And it's uncomfortable, and it was just unwelcoming. So I never wanted to do that again. And he wanted me to start doing that. So without any thought, I told him I'm done. I quit. And I briefly looked for other places to work, and I realized that in Savannah there's nowhere better to work. So without much thought, once again, I started this business.
So you didn't want to be a service tech, so you quit and became a service tech?
Well, that's the thing. I thought I hated being a service tech. I thought that it was just awful and it's miserable. And I realized that being a service tech isn't awful and it's not miserable unless you work for a company that sets you up that way.
Sets you up for failure.
Yeah, that makes you
it
feel miserable.
Yeah, okay.
So when I started for myself, I realized that I actually did enjoy it. And it became very rewarding, and I wanted to start this company and make it a place where everybody would want to work, because there was nowhere else in Savannah that offered that. So
that's what you kind of want to emulate?
Yeah. So when I started this business, I always thought that I get the work and the help will come.
Yeah.
And that was as far from the truth as you can come up with. It seems to be the opposite.
We have both faced a real challenge in our tenure as business owners. From the outside looking in, it looks like two different problems. It looks like I had one issue in the past and Brandon had a separate issue in the past. When you stop and you take a minute and you think about it, we really had the same problem. The issue we both faced was dealing with employees. My issue was customer retention. So I had issues in the past with customer retentions. It was a direct result of my people, my employees, giving a bad impression to a customer. Brandon's biggest struggle was finding technicians from the get-go that weren't green, but also had not developed bad habits. Ultimately, we both struggle with employees. And I feel like that's all I ever hear with everybody I talk to in the industry, is that trying to find good help. I talked to Rodney a couple weeks ago, and he made a great point. The people that we're looking for are other business owners. But how do you get that technician that's really not interested in being a business owner, that's going to do something that a quote unquote business owner type mindset would do? How do I get a guy to stay on board with me after he's a super tech, quote unquote? This guy is really good, but he doesn't want to go start his own business. What does that take? What do I have to do to make that happen? I think I know. I guess we'll find out.
You've taken guys that have no history, no experience, and you've trained them.
Yes.
What happened there?
You can train somebody to do residential in maybe one season, but it takes several years to train somebody to do
Commercial. How long did it take you to learn commercial?
Probably a good 5.
5 years?
Yeah.
So what'd you do in the meantime? Because the company that you started at is the same company that you left and then started your own company.
Yeah. What I did in the meantime was I worked for somebody that understood what it took. So he was willing to pay for my mistakes, and he was willing to shave the bill off a little bit because he knew it shouldn't take 10 hours to replace a compressor.
Okay. That's because y'all were doing time and material, so as long as it took you to do it, that's how long you build it out.
Exactly.
Even though you didn't know what you were doing, so it took you 10 hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was willing to help me or to help the customers out with that so I can learn. So, really, I'd learned a lot of, like, the trial and error method and just experience. With what we do, everything's so broad. You don't really do the same thing twice very often.
Yeah.
And you're always seeing new stuff, and you basically have to get to the point where you have to be comfortable working on stuff that you've never seen before, because it's going to happen often.
Yeah.
I still do it. I've been doing it for 15 years, and I still see that very often. That's how you got to program your mind and to train yourself, that you just have to understand the operations of the system. And you get your wiring diagram and you have a map to fix whatever you need to fix.
Yeah. As long as you have that wiring diagram, it's not missing out of the system.
Good old Google.
Yeah, there you go. You and I both started out before there was Google.
Yes.
And I feel like that probably hindered us in growth a little bit too. But on the flip side, I guess it could hinder the growth of the younger guys because they're so reliant on Google. They don't really learn it. They just use it as a crutch.
Yeah. I mean, back when we started, when you see something you've never seen before, you have two options. You either figure it out for yourself or maybe you can call a friend.
Yeah.
But you can only use that friend so many times.
Mm-hmm. So back to the company, how did it progress throughout the years? How long has it been open?
Almost 6 years.
And how has it progressed?
Well, it hasn't really.
At a couple points it did.
Yeah. Well, what happens with that is you can't find the exact service tech that you're looking for, so they can actually go out and make you money right away. So you roll the dice on a guy that you feel like you can train, and you hire him. You work with him for a year, hopefully, and they either realize AC isn't for them and you wasted thousands of dollars, or they find somewhere else to work, or you realize that they're not catching on and you can't keep wasting your money.
Was there ever a point where you had someone that you like their personality, but they just weren't catching on mechanically?
Yes. I have one guy, super awesome guy, super trustworthy, go-getter, energetic. He'll show up every day on time. But I was having a conversation with him, and I said something about the bearings in the motor, and he asked me what a bearing was.
And how long was that after he was working with you?
It was a couple of months, but that's when I realized like how far back we really got to go with it.
Yeah.
So I let him ride with me for about a year and a half, and I started realizing that if I haven't showed him how to do a very specific job, he still wasn't relating to do a different job.
Gotcha. You guys feel similar?
Yeah, like, this is how you change out a blower motor. So you got this under control, so I need you to go out there and replace that condenser fan motor. Because I didn't show him how to do that one yet.
Right, okay. So how many times did that happen? Just that one time?
Pretty much everybody in Green
that you hired?
That I hired. Because, when you just have one or two other people working with you, you can't really progress until you get them up to speed. And if you can't get them to catch on in a year, then...
Yeah, it's tough if you can't get them in a year, because within a year they should be able to do a good bit of stuff.
They can, but the problem is, like I said, we're so broad with everything we do, and I feel like that's one reason why it's been so hard, because...
I get that.
You can't get somebody totally up to speed in just a year with everything we do.
Yeah.
And when there's just one or two guys, they're a pretty high percentage of all the work that needs to be done. I tried to get a super awesome tech. He was obviously very untrustworthy. Well, not obviously, but yeah, he was really untrustworthy. So
that was the one that came in from Jacksonville?
Yeah, that was about 4 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just looking for somebody for 6 years. I still didn't find the right guy to help start the company.
Well, what happened in the middle of summer this year?
That was the transition between a guy that was a super awesome salesman that didn't get any work done. He was with us, and there was the super untrustworthy guy that could fix anything, but I never really understood what he was doing. And we had another new guy that was green that installed a condenser fan motor and left it running backwards. So that was my crew that I had last summer. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. This last summer was the most discouraging, and that's when I decided just to go back working by myself, because it's way easier to be profitable by myself when you're dealing with those kind of problems.
So now you're just doing everything on your own?
Everything.
You actually sold or didn't sell, but you didn't renew your contract on your warehouse either?
Yep, and I sold everything that didn't fit in my van.
Or your garage?
Or my garage, yeah. I kept my hand tools, my welder, and that's all the stuff that's in my garage, and sold everything else.
So I felt the need to break in because this is just a recording of a conversation, an authentic conversation that Tersh is having with Brandon. They kind of make the announcement here in a soft way. I didn't want you to miss it, so pay close attention.
So what's going on in January?
Well, the plan is to merge with, or basically sell the company, I guess, to you.
To me.
And hand the reins over.
So right now we're trying to figure out, we got the great debate on the name of the company in January. So I'm starting another company, selling the company that I have now, the current company. The company that I'm starting in January, I want to start it up so that everybody can listen along on the podcast and hear our pains and our wins, and they get to listen to us grow as we grow. There's been a couple people that kind of mentioned that they don't understand how TriStar grew the way it did and how things worked in TriStar the way they did. So with the new company, I'm going to lay it all out there. I'm going to put it all out there, and we're going to go through our pains together. And as we hire people, that entire hiring process, we're going to go through that together. Brandon and I just sat down with a guy for an interview a little while ago, and later on we'll try and see if we can publish some of that material. And the financials are going to be available online, so you'll be able to see if we're making money or losing money. And also the products that, if anybody sponsors the podcast, or if anybody, we mention products on the podcast, maybe affiliate sponsor or something to that effect, part of that sponsorship is I have to use the product in the company. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm sponsoring something, or that I have a sponsor, or I'm taking money from a sponsor, if I don't truly believe it works. So this is me really putting my money where my mouth is. Yeah. So if I say it's going to work, I'm going to show you that it works, and I'm going to work on putting out YouTube videos. If we have a CRM or customer service management software, if we get a sponsor for one of those, I'm going to use their products, and I'm going to show you how it works with our company, and show you how it grows our company or hinders our company, or where the faults are, where we need something fixed, or the things that really work well with it.
So you're actually gonna show everybody from the ground up. Mm-hmm. You're not talking about a company that's already established and this is how you do things. You're gonna actually talk about, this is how I'm going to start up this business, and you're going to talk about it from the beginning all the way until it's very established.
Yeah, exactly. And some may say, well, you're buying Brandon's company, so that don't make much sense. But we're buying Brandon's customer base that he has now, which isn't a huge customer base. It's enough to keep one guy busy right now.
It's enough for one salesman to get in 6 months or less. I mean, it's just a few.
So if you were a hotshot salesman, you could probably steal some of Brandon's customers. Not really, because they love Brandon.
So Tersh is selling, in case you missed it, he's selling the business that he founded. And he's buying the business that Brandon founded. So what exactly is Brandon going to do?
Sales.
You can do outside sales.
What I left the last company, what I really enjoy doing.
Why do you enjoy doing sales? I mean, I know you still enjoy doing service tech work.
I do. But during the spring and fall.
Right. The lower demand service work.
When it's nice outside, I absolutely love it. But when it's 110 degrees outside, I don't miss it at all. I mean, I've almost destroyed my body trying to do service work for so many years, and just getting to the point where I'm ready to switch gears.
Yeah.
But what I like about sales is you still get the immediate satisfaction of fixing something when you acquire a new customer. Mm-hmm. Or when you walk into a customer's business and they're incredibly mad at you or the company, and you walk out with them happy and excited to see the next service tech. So I've always liked the immediate satisfaction of fixing stuff, and you get a lot of that with sales also. And you get to, I guess, have relationships with all of your customers, and you get to establish new relationships with new people. You get to constantly meet new people, and that really...
How you feel about the networking aspect of sales?
It's really cool. I just got introduced to that, and it's like an aha moment. Like, I can't believe I've been missing out on this all this time.
Yeah, we did some networking. Was it last weekend or weekend before last? Weekend before last.
Saturday.
Was it
last Saturday?
Oh, it was last Saturday. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we did some networking, and
I called it
Brandon's
volunteer
cherry.
work, but yeah.
You were volunteering, I was networking. We were both networking because you met people that you'll get to know better in the future.
Yeah, the cool thing about networking is typically when you're doing door-to-door sales, when you walk in and you introduce yourself, they're already like standoffish, like, what are you going to try to sell me? Yeah. And when you're doing the networking stuff, like last Saturday, you walk in and they're actually genuinely happy to see you. So you're already starting off with your best foot forward. They're happy to see your face, and you can get to know them that way. So now you get to go back.
You get to circle back around and
reintroduce yourself as,
hey, remember me?
Yeah.
So between the two names, we got Icebound and Tertiary Services.
And I want you to keep in mind, on the front of your business card, you got to write how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I do. That's part of the logo.
Oh, that is part of the logo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the logo.
That was one concern I had with that.
Well, tertiary is the
I didn't know
primary.
that was a real word.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, primary, secondary, tertiary. So, like, if you took any art classes in school,
No.
you had primary colors, your secondary colors, and your tertiary colors.
Yeah.
Or, like, I don't know, it's mentioned like 50 times in the Bible, tertiary stuff. So,
Yeah. Well.
probably. It might just be mentioned once, but we'll say 50. So, it's 3 in Latin. It's the third in Latin. So, because we offer 3 different services, so you got food services, building performances, and HVAC.
So you don't plan on doing plumbing, though?
No.
It wasn't that long ago that you were convinced that plumbing and electrical and HVAC should all be under one roof. What changed?
It's not that I'm opposed to plumbing and electrical. I don't know enough about plumbing and electrical. I feel like I would be overextending. We would be overextending ourselves to go plumbing without having a plumber on staff.
So do you see that being maybe a long-term goal once you get the HVAC side set up?
Get electrical, get a
electrical.
plumbing. Well, if the name is Icebound, I don't know how plumbing would work into Icebound.
Icebound works for everything.
Icebound does?
Oh, yeah.
See, I think you're kind of
I'm a little biased.
a little biased on that name. That's Brandon's current company's name, is Icebound. So that kind of wraps things up a little bit. You and I are going to have to talk about the tool thing. And
That's an insane investment. I didn't realize how big that investment was until I started buying another vehicle and loading it up.
providing vehicles.
Yeah,
providing
see,
tools.
and what I do is AC refrigeration for commercial and residential. Well, I don't do residential refrigeration,
Yeah.
just residential AC. But just to have your basic super universal parts and your basic large tools, I don't provide the hand tools like you're talking about, but just, your vacuum pump, your reclaim machine, torches, and refrigerant scale, just all your big ticket items. And actually we do provide a digital manifold because I truly believe in those, and I know it's a pretty expensive investment for an average service tech. Doing that and the parts, you're easily talking about $10,000
Per tech.
per tech
So
on top of your vehicle.
if you come out the gates blazing and you're just a hell of a salesman and you're like, okay, we need another tech, and then next month you're like, we need another tech, and then next month we're like, we need another tech. We got 5 techs here before summer starts, and we're
It's easy to-
$50,000 in the hole.
And that's not talking about the vehicles.
Yeah, not even talking about the vehicles. If you're financing the vehicles or paying for them outright.
And if you're talking about actually buying their tools and stuff too,
right,
you're going to bump that number up quite a bit.
Yeah. But the thing about it is I want the guys to grow. I want long-term guys, and I want them to grow and feel comfortable and not feel like they have to. Worst thing in the world is to not have the right tool on a job. And if the guys are going to get paid flat rate, which we haven't really 100% ironed that out.
I like that hybrid.
The hybrid pay. That Matt was talking about. But so either one of them, if they don't have the right tool, they'll make something work, but it may be at the expense of the part they're putting on. They may have some jimmy rig something up to get a nut off, and then if they just had the right pair of pliers, they wouldn't score up the shaft or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm willing to invest in someone's future if they're willing to invest the time towards the company.
So you're going to try to have everything out in the open, and obviously it takes money to get a company started, especially if you're wanting to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So how big of a capital or loan would you say you would have to start off with to...
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I do know some numbers, but I'm going to try and start with $10,000.
That's the goal, is $10,000.
That's my goal initially, to start off with.
Okay.
And then float things on credit. So don't be getting those crappy customers that pay 90 days out.
You can't get crappy customers. And with that, so what you're talking about is your $10,000 will get one service tech stocked and moving forward, and maybe get...
Well, with the way that we're working out our deal, yours and mine, we'll have some of that stuff up front.
Yeah.
As I pay you off. That's not included in $10,000.
Let's say if you weren't, though.
Oh, if you weren't.
Like somebody else that might be listening.
Oh, okay.
That's wanting to start their business.
I would say maybe $20,000, but at the same time, it'll be on record. We'll show you exactly what it takes.
Yeah, there you go. Because, if you're starting as a one-man show, it doesn't take near as much.
No, especially if you're working out of your house, you're doing a lot of things remote, or if you can set up so your phone, all your stuff's coming to you through your phone, your cell phone. If you're using like QuickBooks Online as your dispatching software and your, everything that you're using, there's what, $75 a month?
Actually, it's less than that. It went down on price. I want to say mine's $60.
It used to be $75 like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's $60 now. There's obviously different tiers.
Oh, okay.
Mine is like the middle tier. I think the one above mine, the main difference is payroll. Well, if you're a one-man show, you're not doing payroll.
Right, and then even with us, we're not going to use their services for payroll. We're going to use, hopefully, Paycor or something like that.
I did try Paycor for a while, and it's unbelievable how easy they can make your job.
Do they actually pay your quarterly taxes for you, or do they?
Yes.
They totally take care of everything. You don't have to worry about the payroll taxes. You don't have to worry about any of that. They take care of all the back end stuff. Your only responsibility is to have the money in the account and to turn in the time on your weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, however you pay your employees.
Do you have to put that money into like a certain checking account, or
they have access to your account? So
your checking account?
Mm-hmm.
What about like if you had like a debit card or a credit card? Does it have to be a checking account?
Yeah, they're not going to do it on a credit card.
That's what I was wondering.
I'm sure there's some kind of legal issues with that.
That's what I was wondering. I imagine it would be.
That'd be awesome for points, though.
For points? Oh, yeah. Like American Express points.
Yeah, American Express has been the most valuable tool for me to do everything I did. So when I started, I didn't have any money to invest in the company at all.
So you bankrolled it basically on American Express?
Yeah.
American Express is crazy how much they want to work with small businesses.
They truly seem to care, and they have the most amazing customer service you can imagine. If you have any problems or questions about anything, it's easy to get a hold of somebody that can actually take care of your problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get out of here. I got to go get my kids from school. We'll pick up this conversation again later. We got to get a service tech. Or else I won't be out there catching service calls.
Yeah, that's been my biggest problem.
What is that?
SAP.
Oh, yeah, from the...
That's been my biggest problem, so I'm curious how that's going to work out.
We'll document it. Well, the next 2 weeks, Julie will be out of town for military. And so my goal is to finally write down all the policies and procedures I haven't finished writing down. Maybe shoot them over to you, let you see them, see what they look like.
That was definitely one of my biggest downfalls, is not doing that.
Policies and procedures?
Yeah. Everything's just word of mouth, and we'll figure it out as we go.
I have a lot of them, but there's a lot of them that I really want to change, that I want to improve upon.
Modify
them, yeah. All right, dude. I'll talk to you later. I'm super pumped to see what we're going to have going on here with the new company. I'm more excited to hear the feedback from everybody on their thoughts as far as what they think about starting the new company and showing all the products that we're using to start the company, to start the small business, the air conditioning and refrigeration company, and step by step how we've made it work. And I don't feel like failure is an option, so I'm not worried about that at all. My wife is. She's terrified that I'm going to leave one job where I'm actually finally making money and go to another one where I could potentially not make any money at all. So hopefully we'll get her nerves settled down pretty quick. We're going to use a little different approach when it comes to accounting and how that's paid and everything. So not the status quo, as kind of as Jesse Cole says. If everybody says to do it one way, if the industry norm is one direction, go the opposite direction. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing. That's the direction we're going to be going, is the opposite. But we shall see. I'm excited about it. I'll keep you up to date for sure, everything as it progresses and as we have our pains and as we have our wins. Everybody stay tuned.